giving birth and the whole period after giving birth is just not something that you can have an idea of before you've tried it yourself.
You know, balding, like male pattern baldness is like a normal thing. Whereas like women talking about losing their hair, it's, oh, we can't talk about that.
Weird enough, becoming a mom was just something that I feel like I've been waiting for my whole life and did not know that I was waiting for.
The biggest lie that women get told about the postpartum experience is that they can have it all at once.
Alrighty, ladies, shall we? Welcome to The Equation, the podcast where science meets reality. Each episode, we have candid convos with experts, icons, and certified brainiacs about how nerdy stuff actually shows up in your daily life. AKA, we talk about science, but we make it personal. Alrighty, our guests today are total icons, not only as mothers, but as businesswomen, partners, daughters, and friends. First up, Amelia Sordell, Aussie-turned-Brit, best-selling author, founder of Clout, and mother to 2 gorgeous children. Amelia founded Clout in 2020 and has built an insane community of over 300,000 people alongside $4 million in revenue from personal branding. Amelia, how was that intro? Perfect. Okay. Our second guest today, Patricia Thyberg, sports enthusiast, podcaster, and another incredible founder. Patricia is a new mama, a Copenhagen native, and a total fitness baddie. Patricia, teach me your ways, please. I need to learn. How do you do it? Then we have little old me, your host, Jasmine Pola. I'm your longevity-obsessed product developer who speaks fluently in both stem cells and lipstick. I've launched award-winning beauty products, traded the Aussie beaches for European streets, and just became a new girl mom myself. Yay. Okay, guys. Today, I'm going to kick it off straight away with a strong question, lay it on strong. One line. What's the biggest lie told to us women about the postpartum experience? Let's start with you, Amelia.
The biggest lie that women get told about the postpartum experience. I don't know if it's exclusively postpartum, but I think the biggest lie that women get told is that they can have it all at once. I think that's the biggest lie.
Bloody oath. Can you elaborate on that? Why do you think that's the case?
Because I think you can have it all. You just can't have it all at once, right? So you can be the best mother in the world. You can be the best wife or partner in the world. You can be the best employee or business owner in the world. But you can't do every one of those things 100% of the time. And I think we are sold this narrative, particularly as mums, because I don't know if anyone else can relate, but I think mums get shit done, right? And we're known for that. And so we want to show up and we want to be perfect and we want to do everything, you know, perfectly all the time. And so we try and then we end up feeling like failures when it all doesn't work out, right? I certainly felt like that when I was trying to do it all at once and failing at all of them.
I think so many people can relate to that. I definitely totally understand what you mean. And I feel like we get told this narrative that we can have it all. And we see these women in the spotlight that say they can have it all. And then we look at them and we're like, why can't I live up to that expectation? Why can't I have it all as well? Because maybe we actually can't have it all the time or at the same time. In a linear process, maybe. Yeah. What about you, Patricia? What's the biggest lie do you think that's been told to us about motherhood or postnatal experiences?
I feel like the thing about that you can prepare yourself for everything, this thing is just not possible to prepare yourself to giving birth, and the whole period after giving birth is just not something that you can have an idea of before you've tried it yourself, I would say.
Fair. No manual.
Not at all.
And how many books have been written about how to be a mum?
So many.
Still, you could read as many books as there are possible out there, and still you might not be able to put me.
Yeah, exactly. Execution beats strategy every time, right?
You have to experience it, I think, to totally know what you're going to expect. And each time is probably different. You would know best.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's so many lies and these about postnatal experiences or motherhood, and they can turn into these myths. So I want you girls to guess before we go into the nitty-gritty details of everything if these myths are true or false. So the first one is cutting your hair postpartum will lead to permanent hair loss. What do you think, Patricia?
I guess false.
And Amelia?
Yeah, false.
Okay, definitely false. Why do you think that this is a myth?
Well, because your hair grows, right? Your hair grows in cycles, whether you're pregnant or not pregnant. So I'd find it hard to believe that if you cut it off, it wouldn't continue to grow.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah.
I wonder how that ended up there. I think it's maybe a link to the emotional symbolism.
Well, it's like that thing if you shave your legs, it will get thicker, it will grow longer. It's like you're literally just cutting it. How does that work? It's kind of like, how does the follicle become better and stronger?
When I used to be a beautician, I used to say to my clients, just because you're shaving, it doesn't grow back, faster. It's because it's blunt. So
So you see it more, right? Yeah.
Okay, second one. Your shoe size can permanently change after pregnancy. True or false?
True. I think I know this one. I think it's true.
Okay, that's quite funny because I've been thinking about this since I gave birth, and I feel like some of my shoes, they just don't fit. So I want to say true as well.
You're both right. It is true. So what actually can happen is there's a pregnancy hormone called relaxin that can loosen the ligaments in your feet. So
This those hip problems.
Exactly. And this can flatten your feet essentially. So yeah, you can go up like half a size and you can go up permanently, essentially. Yeah.
That's crazy.
For us.
all this Louboutins that we're preaching down.
We can't own up anymore. Oh, Sarah Jessica Parker would have a conniption over that if that happened to her. Okay, third one. Postpartum depression is the same as baby blues. True or false? False.
False as well.
Very false. So do you guys have any insight into this aspect?
You know what's so funny? So with my first, I was told I had baby blues. Like I'd cry every single day for about 6 months. And every time I saw the midwife, and it's definitely not the midwife's fault, right? But every single time I saw the midwife, they'd be like, oh, don't worry, like you'll get over it. It's just baby blues. Like it's just your hormones. And then it got to about 4 or 5 months in and I was like, this is not normal. Like it's not normal to wake up every single day and be like anxious and stressed and feel like you're the worst mother in the world and all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't actually until I had a night nurse come, just because I wasn't sleeping at all. Like obviously we don't sleep when we've had a baby, right? The three of us know that. But like I really wasn't sleeping at all. There was not maybe 2 hours broken sleep a night for 4 months. And so I had her come in for a few days just to let me recover a little bit. And she was like, I've seen you cry every day. She was like, that's not normal. Like you should be feeling like, yeah, sure, tired, but you need to go and see someone. So I went and saw someone about it. And yeah, it was definitely postnatal depression, but I'd been told it was baby blues. So I had no reason to question it. And I think the question I would hazard a guess and say it's been asked because that is a massive misconception that women just suffer in silence because they're told they're like, oh, you're going to have the baby blues after you've had the baby and it's really normal. It's not normal. Like 2 weeks, fine, but 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 4 months, that's not.
Yeah, you have to normal.
Thank you for this night nurse. And is this something that in the UK that you naturally get? Did you have to organise it
no,
yourself?
It's very expensive. Yeah, I had to pay for it. Yeah, so I'm really lucky that I was in a fortunate enough position to be able to get the help.
Yeah.
And she came for a few nights a week for probably about 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And she identified my postnatal depression. She also identified that my daughter was tongue-tied, which no one in the NHS had picked up. And that was one of the biggest drivers of my kind of depressive state was because my daughter was tongue-tied, she couldn't breastfeed properly. Because she couldn't breastfeed properly, she was hungry. Because she was hungry, she wasn't putting on weight, she was crying all the time. So it was like this massive cycle. And then once those two things were fixed, it was like, oh my God, this is what mother's like meant to be. It was insane.
Oh my God, it's crazy. We experience a lot, I think, as women. And you are right, it is a false. Actually, baby blues are temporary mood swings. They're temporary. So like you mentioned, it's not normal to feel like crying every single night for months on end. It's not something that your body should be going through. And it's usually these baby blues, they go after about 2 weeks, essentially. So postpartum depression is much more long lasting and it's a lot more severe. You do need that support and help. I think in Denmark, am I right that you have more help within the government that they provide?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Quite a lot.
Yeah.
But I guess the waiting time is pretty bad.
Okay.
Yeah, it is like that with a lot of stuff.
Comes the NHS, you'd be surprised. It will take you 5 months just to get a doctor's appointment.
But no, we have pretty good support here in Denmark, I would say.
I mean, when I look at the Denmark system, I'm always like, why does the rest of the world not follow us?
Yeah.
But we pay a lot of taxes, though.
Yeah. Fair.
But you know what? Not to take it off topic, I think it's okay to pay lots of taxes when you can see it. Like when you can see that the schools are great and that the healthcare is great, and the streets are clean and that all the trains come on time. I'm like, yep, take my money. Take it. Do what you want with it. No problem.
100%. Alrighty, ladies, now that we talked a little bit about, lies and myths, so I want to kind of begin the podcast talking about who you both are. I mean, our guests don't know, they may know you, they may not know you, but I really want to know who you were before motherhood, before you had these rogue hormones and you were rattled maybe with sleep deprivation. How did you identify? How did you perceive yourself? Maybe I'll start off with the question, what were you chasing before motherhood?
What was I chasing?
Who would like to start? Amelia, let's go.
Yeah. Go ahead, please. Who was I before motherhood? I was very ambitious. I had aspirations of being 25 and like a millionaire and driving a Range Rover and had my massive house. And I was going to have kids at some point, but like right now I was going to be like the boss. That was my like aspiration. And I didn't really, I guess, spend a huge amount of time like thinking about who I was or what I actually wanted. It was kind of like the stuff that I thought I wanted, because that's what society told me was like the thing to aspire for, right? If you're an independent woman, you need to have the things to show that you've made it and you've done well and you don't need anyone to like help you get there. So before children, I was very work, hustle, always had some kind of business venture on the go, never really played. I didn't drink, not that I'm saying like drinking alcohol has anything to do with it, but I didn't drink alcohol because I knew it would make me slow the next day, and if it makes me slow the next day, then I can't work. Like that was like my mentality about everything. There was never any downtime. I used to work 7 days a week. I might take like a Saturday afternoon off, but that was it. And it was just like always.
Okay.
So
really definition of ambitious there.
Yeah. I was not going to stop until I got that £1 million house and £1 million in the bank and the Range Rover.
Oh, wow.
That's children have a funny way of humbling you.
What about you, Patricia? What were you chasing? Was there a lifestyle or a goal that you were going after before pregnancy, before being a mum?
Yeah. So I studied communication, and I just figured out that was not something for me. I was so bored and I love to communicate, but not written communication. I love to talk. I love to do visual stuff. So I dropped out of my studies, and then I started my own company, or like my own podcast. It started as a podcast called Sportshjerte. I did that and started to dream about getting better rights for women in sports. And there was like no looking back. I just worked a lot, just like you, Amelia, and not thinking that much about my values or who do I want to be and what kind of friend do I want to be. And I was just like living a quite fast-paced life. Met my boyfriend, now fiance, and we traveled the world like insane. We just went on the next vacation or trip after we came home. Yeah, no looking back, and just quite fast-paced life.
Yeah. I think I can relate to you in that way. I was really obsessed with building my life. I would, whether it's like building experiences through travel or, friends partying when I was 18 or 19. But for me, it shifted really when I was 21 and I lost my ovary, and I actually started thinking about these kind of things, these values that I had to have, and motherhood. And it was the first physical change that I experienced in my life that impacted the way that I would perceive the world, essentially. And I wanted to know if there's, any early signs before you were pregnant that started to shift your way that you perceive the world and your values and your identity.
It's something that you said a minute ago, which I think nails it on the head, and it kind of is a precursor to your question, is about when before kids, I didn't think about my values. I wouldn't even known what they were. I wouldn't even know like what the things that I stood for were. We were just probably all three of us really busy building our life, right? And it's like the constant future thing rather than the current thing. I don't think there was any kind of precursors for me. Something that maybe I was running away from a little bit is when I was 15, I was told I couldn't have children. So I have something called uterus didelphys, which means you have two uteruses and you have a much higher probability of ovarian cancer and kind of all of that kind of stuff. but you also have a much higher probability of stillbirth and miscarriage. So about 70% of all pregnancies end in preterm birth, stillbirth, or miscarriage. So it's a very high percentage. So I'd already had in my head from when I was about 15 that like if I had a child, it was going to be like a miracle.
Wow.
So I wasn't really thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether a lot of my actions of the work was perhaps a lot of escapism of not wanting to face the reality of I knew I wanted kids. Like maybe I'd never get it.
Okay.
So not necessarily answering your question, but definitely gives context.
Yeah.
Probably the post.
Definitely. And Amelia, if you could describe yourself in that phase, in that point in time, in 1 or 2 words, what would you describe it using 1 word? You can use 3 if you want.
I'm like, can I have ever said 1 word in my life? 1 word or 3 at that time. Probably careless, probably carefree, and probably very ungrounded, I think would be 3 words that I would use to describe me.
What about you, Patricia? I know that you do a lot of work in, media, podcasting. Do you think, and that was a career that you already had before you had a baby, do you think that a lot of your identity was shaped by external validation versus maybe an internal truth? Or how do you think you kind of shaped your identity through that?
Sometimes, yeah, I feel like I didn't think that much about what I did. I just did it. I got the proposal for a campaign and I was like, okay, yeah, I know this brand. That's pretty cool, I guess. I can do this. But that definitely changed, or now I'm already moving a bit into the next phase. But I just did stuff and did not think that much. And I was all I didn't have a plan, like a long-term plan.
Okay, yeah.
It was just living from day to day.
Yeah.
And that was actually quite nice.
Those were the days.
Yeah, but still, I'm very happy today that it's not like that, because I must say now that maybe I was a bit naive, and I'm very happy that I got the chance to look at myself and my career with a bit of a distance now, and I'm like, okay, now I know what's important for me. I need to go this way, and I need to do stuff differently.
Okay, what are your 3 words then? I'm curious.
Yeah, so I was naive. And I was also really a go-getter, I would say. And how would you describe a person taking many chances? Like
Risk taker.
Risk taker, yeah. Yeah.
Love that.
Okay, really interesting, ladies. It's good to get kind of an understanding of who you are before we dive into the more heavy conversation, I think, and so that our listeners really understand what the changes that you experienced were. If they don't have a foundation of, understanding who you perceived yourself as, then they're not going to maybe understand the transition that you experienced. We've talked about who we are. We've talked about ambitions, naivety. We've talked about risk-taking, confidence. I want to know what happens when this identity starts to shift, essentially. This body that you once relied on so heavily, it's who you were, it's how the outside world saw you. It begins to scar. It begins to change when you become pregnant, essentially, and your mind might begin to behave a little bit differently. So this is called matrescence. Have you guys ever heard of this before?
No.
Not until you brought it up like the other day. This day, wow. No, okay, I didn't even know that was a word. No. Yeah, I knew I could understand the concept, but I didn't know there was a word.
I know, it's crazy. So I was essentially kind of researching a little bit, and I came upon this term when I was younger. Or actually, in the industry that I'm working in, I'm always talking about menopause. I'm always talking about hormones, and I'd never heard of this myself. And I'm thinking, how many billion people are on the planet and they've never heard of this term? And I've asked my friends, have you ever heard of this term? No one I know had heard of this term. And considering so many people experience it, it's pretty wild to me that people don't know what it is. So matrescence is essentially compared to adolescence. And just like teenagers, our hormones shift, our brains rewire, our bodies change, and our sense of self, it reshapes. And, before we experience this, we become pregnant and our bodies go through these changes, we don't necessarily know what parts will survive matrescence of our previous identity and what parts won't. So as we transition into motherhood, we experience this matrescence. And I would love to explore this concept with the both of you and trace maybe the physical markers that you guys experience through matrescence. First off, there's obviously emotional markers, but of course, what the world sees is these physical markers, and that can really change how you see yourself and your identity that we just previously discussed. So in starting that, how did you cope, Patricia, with your body changing while your audience was watching you as well?
I was quite curious on how this would feel to me, starting to grow on my stomach, because I've always been training quite a lot, love being active. And when I was younger, like way younger, I did not have a very chill relation to being active and eating stuff. So this was very in order, and I worked out too much and ate too healthy, So I was like, how am I going to feel when my body is changing like this? And surprisingly, actually, it was the most beautiful experience I have ever had. And luckily, a lot happened from those years I just talked about now until I got pregnant. But just thinking about that life was happening inside me was mind-blowing and beautiful, as I just said. So I was really trying to embrace this feeling, and that luckily happened quite natural. But yeah, so now when I look back, I started having short t-shirts on and, showing my belly
So you were very proud of your belly.
I was so proud. And when I look now, I'm like, okay, in that early stage, you can't see actually that you're pregnant. So what are you trying to show here? But yeah, I just embraced it and loved it.
I absolutely love when I'm like scrolling on my Instagram and I see mums, like two mums with their bellies out, and it's so pretty. I think I honestly think sometimes it's the most gorgeous.
Yeah.
One of my most favorite like celebrity pregnancies of recent times was Margot Robbie. She really just wore the bump out all the time. And I was just like, I love seeing women proud of their bump. Not like trying to hide a long top or like maternity. Oh my God, maternity jeans. They're so comfortable as well. Yeah, she was fat.
I think I had a little bit, I definitely loved the body that I was in, and I felt really like close to my body in the way that I was like amazed by what it was doing and the changes that were happening. But at the same time, there was definitely changes that when I looked in the mirror, I was like, what the hell is going on? What is that?
Okay.
I'll give you an example. My belly button turned chocolate brown.
Oh, wow.
So just my belly button, nothing else, turned chocolate brown. And I was like, oh my God, is this going to last forever? Why is my belly button chocolate brown? I gave birth, and then all of a sudden I started shedding the chocolate brown. Imagine exfoliating your face and the chocolate brown belly button disappeared. Bizarre. Never thought that this could happen. Amelia, were there any sort of physical changes that you experienced that you were shocked about?
Well, I got the brown line.
Okay, the line.
Yeah, which is probably similar to your chocolate belly button, just like chocolate lines. That was really fun. Also, my boobs were like the size of a watermelon.
Oh my God.
I've never seen anything like it. Like it was, when I was in the mirror, it was like almost shocking how enormous they were. Very attractive. What else happened? Like the weight gain was, with my first daughter, because I'm similar to you, I was like my identity pre-baby was very much like I was super fit. I had abs. I worked out like for 2 hours a day. Ate not enough. I looked great, but like I was very unhealthy in my approach to my lifestyle and my eating and that kind of stuff. And so going into the pregnancy, I probably had a slightly less beautiful experience unfortunately than you guys did, because I was so scared of my body changing and not being able to get back, get your body back after the baby. And also I think probably part of me was worried to bond with the pregnancy because I knew there were obviously a higher risk and all that kind of stuff as well. As soon as the baby was born, I was like, I need to put myself on a protein shake diet. I can't eat sugar. Like I lost all the baby weight in 10 days. And everyone was like, you look amazing. And I like basked in that because everyone was like, the first thing everyone said was, you look great. But obviously inside I was just like, felt awful. And on top of that, like I had all the other stuff going on with the baby and not feeling like 100%. So it was interesting. The kind of physical markers were, she looks great. Have you seen her stomach? Her stomach's so flat, all that kind of stuff. But like inside was like crippling. And yeah, hair loss and all of that fun stuff as well.
Hair loss. Oh, I feel like so many women experience hair loss. Yeah, they're postnatal, and no one talks.
Comes out in clumps, right? That's the thing that no one tells you about. Like you wash your hair and then it's just like
in the shower, your like drain is just starting to be full. And I feel like the place where everybody experiences hair loss postnatal is like along their hairline.
Yeah, that's where I got it.
Yeah, you start to look like, I don't know, you get this receding hairline. For me, when I noticed hair loss was I went to the hairdresser like 6 weeks. Oh no, maybe it was longer, a couple of months postnatal. I went to the hairdresser. I was like super excited, get my hair dyed, start to refresh myself, revamp myself. She's doing my hair. I look in the mirror and then she pulls it back and I'm like, my jaw dropped to the ground. And I was like, I never noticed that I have this massive patch on my hair, but it's so normal. So many people experience it. And I feel like a lot of people don't talk about it, but apparently 1 in 5 women experience hair loss. You mentioned to me previously that you experienced it.
Yeah, I had the whole like this thing going on. Like, you know, when I go, it's all there that you lose it. And, you know, I lost loads of hair and all in the back of my head. I had like clumps missing. But I think particularly it's very normal to talk about, I'm not trying to pit gender against gender, but I feel like it's very normal for men to talk about hair loss because it's like, you know, balding, like male pattern baldness is like a normal thing. Whereas like women talking about losing their hair, it's, oh, we can't talk about that because God forbid women should actually lose their hair. Like it happens all the time, not just in postpartum. Lots of women, when we get into post, you know, menopause, etc., we will lose a big chunk of our hair and no one talks about it.
Exactly. Patricia, did you experience any sort of physical changes like that affected your self-esteem, like hair loss or change in texture of your hair, scars, anything like that?
I started to get this on my scalp. You know, what do you call it?
Psoriasis?
Yes.
Dermatitis.
Yeah. And I've always felt awful, you know, when you can see that on the shoulders, on black
so
clothing.
true.
That's, I hate that.
Yeah.
And I haven't experienced that before. And then my hair in the front, it's not like it disappeared, but it started to
break.
To break easy.
Yeah. I think that happens to a lot of women as well postnatal, is that the texture changes. Your hair can become a little bit more drier or more brittle. I definitely experienced that as well.
Well, I was saying to you earlier, I wear a bonnet every night because otherwise I saw the hair at the back of my head just
snapping off. Yeah, exactly. I think it's super important to shine a light on the fact that even though there's this beauty that comes with, you know, being pregnant and motherhood, you know, there's also sometimes these physical changes that can impact, you know, our self-esteem, our confidence, and cause this maybe disconnection to who we are. But there's obviously a reason why this all happens, and linking it back to the concept of mattresses, we talked about these physical changes that occur. And obviously we know after childbirth, your body undergoes an intense hormonal crash. Did you feel your hormones changing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, during pregnancy, we know that estrogen and progesterone levels are really high, which keeps hair in the anagen phase. So I don't know, do you guys know much about
that's just like the growth, not shed bit, right?
Exactly. So that's the stage 1. Most of your hair is in anagen phase, usually about, I think 90% of your hair is in anagen phase. And that's what's allowing it to grow. And estrogen plays a key role in keeping it in the anagen phase. And so when you're pregnant, that's why your hair can feel thick, lush. But what happens is after you have a baby, your hormones crash, they go very rogue, and that anagen phase dramatically goes into telogen phase. So we experience hair loss very fast. Is this something that you guys ever heard about? Did you know that this was the reason why people experience hair loss? Yeah,
I didn't.
I knew you had phases, but I didn't know what the names were.
No.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I also didn't realize 90% of your hair is in that
and it's
phase.
in that phase for about 2 to 7 years. So it's in the anagen phase for a very long period of time. Typically, the telogen phase only occurs for a couple of weeks, But because of this, the estrogen levels dropping and the hormonal imbalances that are occurring in your body, it goes very fastly. Transitions quickly into the telogen phase. Okay, ladies, now, were there any other kind of changes that you experiences or actually, what I would prefer to know is, was there any pressures to hide any parts, good or bad parts of your postnatal experience?
Oh God, yeah, my stomach, cellulite in there, just stick me in a bin bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, particularly with the second, because with the first baby, you snap back. Well, I snapped back very fast. With the second baby, because I was happier in myself and I was more embracing of the situation, I was a lot less strict, shall we say. And after, I've only just lost the baby weight, basically 6 years later. So it's taken me a long time. And isn't it funny how we say lost the baby weight? That's the worst thing that could happen if we put on a few pounds. So yeah, I wanted to hide everything. Even until very recently, I did not want to be in a bikini or be around people that I didn't know, seeing my body in a way that was very vulnerable.
Yeah, I 100% understand. I'm still that way. I went shopping for this podcast and I was trying on clothes and I was like, I have no idea how to dress myself anymore.
Right? You lose your entire sense of style, how you want to do your hair, makeup,
everything.
Even your skin tone, completely changes. My makeup color that I had when I was pregnant and before I had my baby, completely different now.
Really?
Completely different.
That's crazy.
I went from being a really warm to very neutral. If I wear warm now, I look orange.
Orange, yeah.
Yeah, it's so strange. I mean, you would know more about that than me. Yeah, it was so weird.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
Oh my God. I also have a wedding to go to in a couple of weeks, and I'm like, shopping for dresses, having to look at myself in the mirror. It's so confronting sometimes to see those physical body changes. And when I was experiencing hair loss, thank God I didn't have to go anywhere necessarily at that point in time, but I was thinking of different hairstyles that I would have had to done. When you experienced hair loss or when you were experiencing the flakes, Patricia, were there any kind of hairstyles that you tried to do to cover up or hide?
Yeah, the one that I'm having now. Put it in back.
I swear if I did the sleek back when I had hair loss, I would look crazy. Like Dracula.
Whatever I did, it was slick back, but
covering, just cover it. Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. It's crazy how much we have to go through physically, but a lot of the time we don't actually talk about the fact that it's not just physical changes. There's a lot of emotional changes that are also occurring. And these emotional changes, they're occurring because obviously, as I mentioned many times before, these estrogen levels dropping, these hormonal crashes. But what we don't necessarily talk about them all the time. So what I really would love to kind of talk about with you and unpack is, were there any significant emotional changes that you experienced as you went through this matrescence period? And maybe, for example, did hair loss affect your perception of your identity?
I think for me, and I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, the external facing changes in my body, in my hair, my stomach, my butt, my feet, everything would have been less concerning and maybe less debilitating if I'd felt better in myself. And I feel like a big part of the not feeling good in yourself is this, we spoke about it loosely, but to me it's the most important part of this conversation, is fundamentally your identity completely shifts overnight. You, particularly with your first, right? You go from being friend, partner, boss, worker, whatever, business owner, to mum. And so everything that you've done, your routine, the way you did your hair, the way you did your makeup, the way you washed your hair, the way you your face routine, everything, the supplements you took, the walk you took, the run you did, everything you did before that day when that baby was born was you, and then everything after that day is your mum. And I feel like I'm imagining most women who are parents can kind of understand or relate to it, at least in part. When that day happens, it's meant to be this day of, it's the best day of your life, and they're going to give you a baby and you're going to instantly fall in love, and the world's just going to have rainbows and butterflies, and there's going to be a dove coming out of a window over there, and God's going to shine down, and there's going to be
You didn't experience that?
No, I'm still waiting for my, no, where is it? No, but we're told that, right? And for a lot of us, we do have that moment. But after that, it's like, who am I? And then your partner has a bit of, paternity leave and then goes back to work. And then you're left with the baby, just you and the baby. And then unless you have an amazing support system of women around you being like, you look amazing. Yes, oh my God, you look the best. You look so good. I love those jeans, or whatever it might be. Or a group of, other mothers who are also kind of had babies at the same time. It's very isolating and it can be very lonely. And I think when you're left in that state to just think, you can make the physical things that you think or someone else might think is not a big deal becomes like a huge deal in your head, because the little tiny pooch that you have where you're still sitting in like wearing your size 10 jeans in your head now becomes this like a massive fat part of your body that like, I'm grotesque, I'm hideous, whatever it might be. If you were around, I think people, or if we had more of a conversation about this stuff of being like everybody is beautiful, particularly after you've had a baby, and aren't you lucky that you were able to carry that baby, and this is like a representation of that growth,
Everything
and come back. Yeah. But I also think I was in a slightly different position in that I wasn't living in London. I was living away from my family, away from my friends. I didn't know anyone in my area, so I didn't have that support system. So yeah, I think the physical changes for me were less, although felt like a huge deal, would have been less of a big deal if mentally I was like good,
Did you ever grieve the person you were before motherhood?
Oh yeah.
I think a lot of people talk about this, or maybe they don't talk about this, but personally.
But it feels selfish to talk about it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's selfish for you to say, I wish I was still who I was before I had a baby.
Did you ever experience that, Patricia?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. What are the lucky ones?
But yeah, weird enough, becoming a mom, it was just something that I feel like I've been waiting for my whole life and did not know that I was waiting for.
That's so beautiful.
So that's weird, but it is how I have been feeling about it.
Yeah, I think I connect with both of you in this way. And I think that can personally, I mentioned before I lost my ovary when I was 21. So when I was 21, I started really thinking, oh shit, am I ever going to be able to have kids? Then I had a miscarriage at 22, a molar miscarriage, which means you have to have this chemotherapy to deal with it and get rid of it. So I was like, okay, shit, I'm not getting pregnant. I have to start thinking about babies, how the world's going to look for me later down the line. I originally thought I was going to have babies when I was like 35, but they always talk about this time limit that you have. And so I started to get stressed about it, think about, how I need to bring a baby into this world. So when I actually did have a baby later down the line, I think I really was connected to it in that way that you mentioned. Yeah. And I was really thankful that I got to experience this very beautiful thing in my life. Yeah. But at the same time, I also experienced this grief of, I feel like maybe I didn't also get to experience some of my younger years because I was worried about having a baby, the changes that could experience.
How old were you? Do you mind me asking when you guys had your children?
26.
Yeah, I was 26 as well.
Yeah, 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So you mentioned, how did you navigate this grief, Amelia?
Therapy.
That's the best answer I could possibly.
Therapy. No.
What did your therapist tell us?
I think therapy is like a spa day for your brain.
Yeah.
I think it's so healthy.
Yeah.
And I think not enough people say, everyone goes, oh yeah, therapy is great, but oh no, that's not for me. No, like it is for everyone. It's so good. And look, even if it's not for you, try it once. It will change your life. Talking to someone who was a neutral party who could help me kind of navigate this in a way, like someone who'd experienced this as, expert, they speak to lots of different people going through the same kinds of things, was very helpful for me. I also think that we think about this transition that we go through from, woman to mother as being exclusively experienced by mothers. But actually, we all go through transitions in our lives in different phases. It might be that you go from being an employee to a manager, or it might be that you go from being engaged to like your marriage breaking up, or from going from being a mother to a grandmother. There are lots of different ways that manifests itself, and that can lead to positive and negative physical and emotional changes. And so I think for me, the therapy thing has been great because it's something I always go back to. It's not a constant in my life, but it's constantly there. So every time I've ever felt like I need help navigating something, I know that there's like a toolbox I can just go back to and be like, right, this is my situation. Like, how can I deal with this better? And that's made me a better person, a better at work, but more importantly, it's made me I think I'm a good mum. And I would never have said that 6 years ago. If you'd asked me 6 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, I'm okay. Now I'm like, no, I'm fucking good, mum.
I love that. I love that perception. That's so nice. When you go to the therapist, do they give you kind of any day-to-day tactics on how to handle, I don't know, we experience such stress when we go through postnatal and in motherhood every day. Do they give you tactics on how to handle the stress that you might be experiencing as a mother?
Yeah, there's different types of therapy you can go to. So you can go to therapy that give you kind of like symptom treaters, if you like. So something's happening in your life, like here's how you can deal with that. The thing that has worked the most for me and that I get the most out of, if you like, is understanding why you think how you think. So for example, if the TV's on and your baby's crying and then your partner's trying to talk to you and then your phone's ringing, like that, and we've all been in that situation before where we literally feel like our brain's going to explode. Or there's a load of laundry that needs doing, the baby needs feeding, and the house is a tip, your partner's coming home in half an hour and you're thinking how much, like it can become very overwhelming. And it's often in those moments that we feel the most stress, like our cortisol rises, and that kind of living in that kind of flight or flight mode is really bad for your hair, it's really bad for your skin, it's really bad for your body, it's really bad for all of the things, including your child, right? If you're constantly expressing that stress hormone out, it's not a nice environment for anyone to live in. So for me, it's all about understanding why you feel like that. So I now know, and it's not just in the baby situation, like even now at work, if there's loads of things going on at once, I know that overstimulates me and that's going to make me feel stressed. So the easiest way to stop that is to just go, right, okay, let's look at these things in isolation. So this is happening. This is okay, cool. We can deal with that. Baby's crying. Right. Let's deal with the baby. Cool. Baby's dealt with. Right. Washing needs to be done. Right. Let's deal with the washing. And you can break it down. And instead of it feeling like the whole world is about to crumble on top of your shoulders, you just tackle things one at a time.
Okay. So we have a new career for you. Therapist.
Laugh at all my friends whenever that, particularly relationships, are like, hey Mills, can we just have a conversation about this guy I'm dating? Oh God.
And Patricia, what about you, stress? How has stress evolved or changed as you have become a new mother?
Yeah, so being self-employed as well, that's pretty tough because now my son, he's 8 months and he will start in nursery when he's 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Busy lady.
I know.
Very busy. So I'm really taking advantage of his naps at the moment.
Yeah.
So like when he starts sleeping during the day, I put my computer on the desk and I'm becoming this working maniac because I need to get stuff done.
Exactly.
While he's asleep. And that's not how I used to work. And I love to work and I love to have time for my work and I love to take time to put or set up this perfect conditions for me working, like a nice matcha latte or a nice snack and some music in the background. But that's too busy for that now. So now I just have to cut everything into the bone and get things done. My fiance, he's self-employed as well.
Oh wow.
So sometimes we are like discussing a bit who will get the time to work, Yeah, and that can be a bit stressful as well.
I definitely have that conversation with my partner as well. Who's on night duty is the question that we ask each night. We usually take, 2 nights on, 2 nights off to kind of share the load overnight. But, the stress that we can, and otherwise, if we don't get our good sleep, going to make us more stressed during the day.
Definitely.
And that can impact, our cortisol levels. But postpartum experience of stress is not just about, the emotional changes. It's also about this sleep deprivation that we can have. Did you ever experience that, Patricia?
Yeah, totally. Because I take every night at home because I breastfeed and still does. Yeah, but we just said to each other, this is the best way to do it for us, because if my fiance, he was going to help during night, we would just like tear each other up.
Yeah.
That would not work for me. So then I actually like to just do it in my own pace and not getting stressed about him getting stressed about not getting his sleep as well. So now I'm just like, okay, I got this. And then he's really good helping during the mornings. So when he wakes up, my little son, my fiance, he will take him for the first hour and then I can sleep an hour more.
Yeah.
But sometimes my mood is just like a roller coaster and my fiance gets so surprised that I react very snappy or fast on stuff. And that's because of the lack of sleep.
Exactly. I think everybody underestimates how much the sleep deprivation and the stress can impact the relationships that you have day to day. And then that's this domino cycle that it's affecting. You're not getting sleep, you're very stressed, it's affecting your relationship, then you're more stressed, and then, it just keeps going and keeps going in a cycle. Have you guys either noticed this effect on your relationships postnatal?
There's a reason why sleep deprivation is a form of torture. Right? It doesn't just make you more stressed, it actually alters your brain. So there's this, forgive me if I say this wrong, this will go out on TikTok and someone will be like, that's wrong. So I apologize in advance. But I remember reading somewhere that if you get less than 6 hours solid sleep a night for more than 10 consecutive days, it's the same neurologically as being twice over the drink drive limit. So not only are you more stressed, you're snappy, all that kind of stuff, you actually are functioning at the same level neurologically as someone who's drunk. Wow. Because you just cannot respond in the same way. You cannot see things and receive information in the same way. So you misconstrue things. We've all seen and understand what it means to see someone who's an angry drunk, right? Like someone who responds too fast or, who makes up situations that aren't actually there because of the way they've perceived that to be. That's what happens in your brain when you haven't slept. So it's unsurprising the strain actually that a lot of this stuff can put on relationships even, because if someone feels like they're doing the most and you're both tired and then you're snapping, there was a huge knock-on effect of that.
My partner was actually in the special forces in a previous life before we had a child. And he was explaining to me once that when they do the training, they do about 3 or 4 days worth of training where they aren't allowed to sleep for 3 or 4 days. And this is kind of a way that they can see who enters into the special forces and who doesn't enter and who has to leave. And essentially, pretty much the biggest drop-off of people who are going into that position is when they're doing this sleep deprivation training, because I literally can't cope. And then we have to experience it as mothers. So it's something that...
Where's my paycheck?
Exactly.
I'm waiting.
It should be given... What's really interesting, and I want to interject a little bit of science here and talk about hair loss and how sleep deprivation and stress can actually link to hair loss, is that postpartum hair loss isn't just hormonal, it's circadian. Your follicles actually run their own internal clocks, like your brain and metabolism. They're essentially guided by these circadian genes, and that regulates when follicles grow, when they rest, when they repair. And not only are you experiencing these physical changes because of the estrogen dropping, but you're experiencing these physical changes that can impact your emotional identity because of, your circadian rhythm changing as well. So it's also intertwined, and people don't necessarily understand that stress and sleep disrupt your hair's internal clock as well. So with that, is there any kind of ways that you both try to help get better sleep, or do you find that there's techniques that you use to take care of yourself these days now that you're kind of out of that early days of motherhood?
I feel very guilty because both of my kids slept from 5 months.
Oh my.
Wow. So I all night, the whole night. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you, night nurse. that was her training. I had them. So I apologize to everyone in here who's got children who still don't sleep. So they slept from 7 to 7 from 5 months, both of them. So I am, I get very good sleep.
It's very nice.
However, I've always had insomnia. So then that still comes back. So I didn't sleep a wink last night because I knew I was coming here. And it's not because I'm nervous or anything like that. It's just I know I'm doing something important the next day and my brain's just like, it just can't turn off. And there's been a few ways that I've been able to very effectively kind of wind down, which may be helpful or not, is I love magnesium on my feet. Magnesium on my feet has changed my life.
Oh my God, I was just about to say I'm obsessed with
Obsessed with it. It is honest. And it's so funny because someone said it to me. They were like,
What is it?
magnesium oil.
Yeah.
Spray it on your feet. And your feet go all kind of like warm and tingly, and then you can just feel it kind of going up your body, and then your whole body just relaxes.
It's such a good ritual to go to. So good.
Oh my God. And the depth as well. So I monitor, like I'm into like the aura rings, and I monitor my sleep and all that kind of stuff. And the depth of sleep I have and the length of the depth of the sleep I have when I've had magnesium versus when I haven't is huge, like measurably different.
How different we
Like difference would be like depth would be like 32 minutes of deep sleep versus 2.5 hours of deep sleep.
Okay.
So it's like significantly different.
Do you track your sleep?
Yeah, I track my sleep.
Yeah. Have you always done this?
Yeah. Every day. Did I snore 2 hours? Why did I snore for 2 hours? Did I drink? I drank. That's why. Okay. Yes. Did I have coffee yesterday? Like all the data. And like my partner finds me really annoying.
It's such a great way, though, I think, that we have these technologies that are available to us these days that can, you know, so good. We can follow our sleep cycles and we can follow, you know.
I must make educated guesses and stuff. Right? Before you'd be like, oh, I think chamomile sends me to sleep. And now I'm like, no, I know chamomile sends me to sleep. It's like you actually have data to show and prove the right things to do.
I wish I felt that way because I get too ambitious.
Yeah.
About sleeping when I put, do you call it,
or
my Garmin watch or something like that. Then I get too ambitious and I go to sleep and I'm like, okay, now I have to do this. I have to sleep. I have to sleep. I have to sleep. And it better be a good night of sleep. And then I do not sleep well.
Yeah.
So it has the opposite effect on
natural.
me. Yeah. And I've always been the person or a person who falls easily to sleep.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But it's
it
listening
doesn't
to your
work
body,
for me.
right?
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. There's so much advice out there and you just have to like listen to your body. I go to sleep at 9:30.
Oh, that's nice.
But I wake up at 5:30, right? So for me, it's great. And if I go to sleep later than I still wake up at 5:30 and I'm exhausted. Even if it's half an hour, it makes a massive difference. Magnesium oil is a life changer. Also, I do love a chamomile tea. I love a like hot shower. Yeah. Chamomile tea. Magnesium on my feet and then read is
blaming me ritual.
Exactly. You know what's so funny? So this is actually a approach I had. I was really struggling. You know, I said earlier I had insomnia for a very long time, both pre-baby and post-baby. And they said, why do you think we put babies to sleep like that in that order? You give them a warm bath, give them some hot milk, you read them a story, and then put yourself to bed like a baby.
No wonder that. Okay, so now you've got it down, baby. Oh my God. What did healing look like you for Patricia, not just emotionally, but physically? Did you have any rituals in place after you gave birth?
Yeah, quite early I started to move my body, but in a very slow pace. So I was like, I have to be patient now. I have to take the time that it requires to get back in a healthy way and sustainable way, because if I just started running a couple of weeks after giving birth, that doesn't work. So I started doing some kind of soft yoga, Pilates, to strengthen my body, but in a very soft and self-caring way. And then my boyfriend, he's really good at cooking. So he did so many nice and healing meals for me after I gave birth. So yeah, that was just...
When you talk about healing meals, what type of meals? Was it very nutrient dense?
Yeah, quite a lot of meat, surprisingly. I do not eat meat that much in my daily life, but after you've lost quite a lot of blood and stuff, that should be pretty good. And also proteins from in Danish. So it's like lentils and chickpeas.
And grains and legumes. And
all that kind of stuff. Soups.
Yeah. Yummy.
Yeah.
I want to come and live at your house.
All right. I know. It's funny you say that about the meat, because I didn't eat meat for very many years, 7 years or something. As soon as I became pregnant, I started craving it so much. I gave birth, and for the first time in 10 years, I ate a steak. Yeah, literally like a month after I gave birth, and now I'm eating meat again. And I think it could potentially be linked to, deficiencies that we could potentially face during pregnancy. A lot of women experience, nutrient deficiencies, from iron deficiency to zinc. We talk about selenium, biotin deficiency. Yeah. Were there any ways that you supplemented to kind of navigate any deficiencies that you may have felt that you experienced?
Well, it's interesting. So we talk, like, women talk a lot about cravings, don't they? Oh, these crazy cravings you had. And oftentimes the cravings that women have are linked to what you're deficient in. So even if, so for example, if you like have even like the weirdest craving, like ice cream and pickles, it could be that your body really needs calcium, for example, or something that my friend used to crave, chalk. Chalk, you know,
What is
right?
that?
Oh my God.
Like on a blackboard.
That's like a
Right.
5-year-old's guilty pleasure, eating
And
chalk.
apparently it's because her body like needed something to help it digest.
Okay.
So, like it would be like a charcoal would be like probably something that she would have. So your body knows when it needs something, but sometimes it doesn't know what the vehicle is to deliver it, right?
Yeah.
So I used to take biotin, not necessarily when I was pregnant, but as soon as I was not pregnant, I took biotin. I still take biotin. I take iron every day. I was very fortunate that I had a byproduct of being a high-risk pregnancy as my bloods were taken every week. So my hormones were monitored every week, basically to look out for precursors of preterm birth. So I knew I was anemic. I knew I needed this. I knew I needed that. I wasn't just kind of like guessing. So I knew every week basically what supplements I needed to take and what were pregnancy safe and what weren't pregnancy safe. But yeah, biotin was a life changer for me after baby. Because another weird thing is I lost a lot of my eyelashes. They went really short after.
Did you use anything for your eyelashes? Serums?
Yeah, which I'm obsessed with, like non-hormonal serum.
Yeah.
There's a lot of serums out there now that have got like hormones in them.
Prostaglandin?
Yeah.
Have you heard of this?
And it really damages like all the fatty tissue around your eyes.
You get this really collagen loss underneath your eyes, and it causes kind of sunken eye effect.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are using these eyelash serums on the market, and they're getting not only the sunken eyes, but also discoloration, hyperpigmentation under their eyes. Yeah, dark circles. You've already got bloody dark circles from not sleeping and that stress, and then we're trying to fix it and we're trying to get more lashes, and then we're making it worse.
So there's a brand called Glow for it, which the only reason I'm mentioning it was she's a small business owner and she's just gone into bit. So I love supporting female-owned small businesses. So I've been using that for ages. And then like biotin is like the classic, right? It just makes your hair grow like mad. Unfortunately, everywhere, including like your chin and your upper lip.
Exactly.
That's what wax is for.
You can actually find these eyelash serums with biotin peptides inside it as well. We just launched one at Biolabs, and it's got a biotin peptide in it. Well, actually, how about this? It won Get the Gloss Beauty Awards for Best Eyelash Serum in the UK. So it's a little bit of it was a very nice eyelash serum in that way that it doesn't have prostaglandins. And that's what is so important when we are postnatal, that we look for eyelash serums that don't have these, ingredients that might disrupt hormones or might disrupt,
It's the last thing you want when you're trying to, like you said, heal your body.
Yeah, exactly.
To pump it full of, I want the cleanest
product
food. And I'm on this weird journey even now. Like I'm postpartum last 6 years ago. I'm slightly out of more of the woods than you guys, but I'm really on this thing right now of trying to get rid of ultra processed. I'm trying to eat, even the supplements are just packed full of rubbish, fillers, sporks, all kinds of stuff. Like the cellulose on the outside is full of stuff. So I'm on this whole journey of actually reading what's in things and horrified by even the drugstore vitamins. You think you're buying something that's going to make you good, and it's 90% of it's just terrible.
A lot. In my job, I have to develop supplements. It's part of what I'm doing every day, and so I'm always learning. I'm always understanding that there's so much on the market that's just bloody crap at the end of the day, I have to say. And a lot of consumers don't really understand that there's different qualities of zinc out there. There's different qualities of magnesium out there. There's different qualities of calcium or vitamin C, and because maybe you get that cheaper supplement and you think, oh, I don't want to invest into, supplement. I don't know if it's actually working or not, But at the end of the day, a lot of the time supplements are more expensive because they actually have these high quality ingredients in them. And I can give you an example. One of the ones that is on the market that's pretty common is zinc. We just spoke about it. It's something I supplemented for during my postnatal experience when I experienced hair loss, as it's also another common postnatal deficiency. But a lot of the zinc on the market is actually zinc oxide. And zinc oxide is it's a cheaper alternative to the types of zinc that you would really want. It's a lot more synthetic in the way that it's made. And there's much better alternatives for zinc on the market, like zinc, I think it's called zinc bigloss glycol. I can't say it exactly. off the top of my head. But there's other alternatives on the market for zinc that are a much better alternative. They're more naturally developed or they're higher quality ingredients. And so I think as women and going through postnatal experiences, we should be informed about the types of things that we are ingesting, whether it's whole foods or whether it's supplements. We should be having access to top quality ingredients and top quality formulations. I want to kind of talk to you guys about your careers and how that changed as well, especially. And I want to kind of interject a little bit about topical treatments, caffeine, the hair loss, you know, face mask, things that you were doing. So we talked about supplements. Let's talk about,
there's probably
other
two
solutions.
things that I think is probably important that are like everyday part of my routine, which I didn't mention, would be the collagen, but also Simprove.
Simprove, what's that?
It's a live prebiotic.
Yes.
Probiotic and prebiotic. It is honestly life-changing.
Okay. Is that a brand Simprove? Or?
Yeah. But it comes in a liquid form.
Yeah.
So it goes straight to your gut. It doesn't get dissolved in your stomach acid or whatever. It's so good.
Yeah. I think it's such a big topic this day is microbiome and gut microbiome.
Yeah, well, your serotonin is 80% made in your gut, right? So that's why we have gut feeling, is like to have that gut feeling. And if you don't look after your gut, then like you won't be able to be happy, but also even know really who you are.
Exactly. And going through this postnatal experience, you know, it obviously impacts your gut. You know, you're eating differently, your whole body's changing physically. And I love that you took like what did you call it? Simprove.
Yeah, it's a liquid, because you can buy like encapsulated probiotics, right? But the problem with that is a lot of the time the encapsulation gets dissolved by your stomach acid, and therefore the actual pre and probiotic doesn't make it to your gut. So you get like such a minimal impact of it. Yeah. So you either need to get one that is double encapsulated.
That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah, so it actually makes it to your gut, or you need to take Simprove. If you take it on an empty stomach, there's no stomach acid in your stomach when you take it. And you can't, like for 10 minutes you can't eat. Yeah. So it can get to where it needs to go. Yeah. But it's been life-changing. Yeah. Like before I used to have really bad stomach issues. If I follow a low FODMAP. I point at you because FODMAP's an Australian thing. Melbourne University. No, Monash. Yeah, Monash University. Low FODMAP diet, which is, you know, you need to avoid garlic and onions and like very leafy greens, all the stuff that's good for you, basically you're meant to avoid because it inflames your gut. Yeah. When I was pregnant, relaxing, all my inflammation disappeared. Okay. So because like your joints relax, so does your generally inflammation. So you have arthritis quite often, you know, that will relax when you're pregnant. I've got psoriasis, so I get scabs on the back of my head and all of my elbows and stuff, and I also have psoriatic arthritis. So when I was pregnant, all my arthritis went away. Wow. My stomach issues went away, and then as soon as I had the baby, they all came back with a vengeance. It was like they doubled in pain. They probably hadn't, but there was the difference between having no pain and probably the pain. And Simprove was the only thing that I could take that stopped that kind of bloating and uncomfortableness. And I've got so many of my friends on it now, and my partner as well. I'm like, every day, have you had your Simprove? Yeah, it's Simprove.
It's funny you say that because I actually also, for the first time in my life, just got on post and prebiotics, and but it is a dual capsule. Yeah. And I'm noticing such a massive change in my gut, in the way that I feel. Yeah. I have a lot more energy. And, you know, I even feel like a little bit less stressed as well, because I feel, you know, when you're stressed, it's causing this kind of immuno response. And if you're taking care of your immunity through taking care of using probiotics, then you're going to have that effect in multiple different ways in your body as well. So it's definitely super important. I wanted to know, Patricia, now that you are, you know, 8 months out into your motherhood journey, how did your career goals shift, if at all, as your body healed and your sense of identity evolved?
Yeah, quite a lot, I would say, because after becoming a mom, my values actually changed, or not changed, but I became more aware of what my values they are. And I've always loved doing sports. I've always loved, talking about or talking with people who has a big passion for doing sports. And the past years, I've done this in my podcast, but I've also done quite a lot of campaigns. So my Instagram profile has gained quite many followers the past couple of years. And yeah, this resulted in many campaigns, as I said, but I really want to focus on the campaigns that matters and the stuff that I really like to work with, and that's health stuff, sports stuff, and women being athletes. Yeah. So not talking about telephone companies or this little snack that I never heard about before they got into my email and asked if I wanted to do something with them. So now I only do stuff that I really feel like doing. And yeah.
I think you mentioned to me previously with intention.
Yeah, with intention.
I love that. I feel like that's such a amazing way to kind of look at your healing journey, to do things and invest in rituals that and your career process and journey that is with intention.
Exactly. And I want my son to be able to look at what I do and be proud. He's 8 months, so he's not able to do that at the moment, but you know what I mean. Yeah, he's a kind of mirror to me. So that has been really healthy, I think.
How did you navigate the pressure to perform or produce when your body and mind were still recovering?
Like work. So in the beginning, I couldn't think about working. I was like only focusing on becoming a mom and how does this feel, and I was like so overwhelmed and so happy. I cried for so many weeks, but luckily in a good way. But so I was not able to work at that point. But then suddenly I started feeling, okay, wow, I'm so motivated about this, and I need to get back doing this and change this. And so now I have so many ideas that I have to see come to life. It's difficult for me at the moment because I want to do so many things, and I feel like I can't really do it right now because I am still taking care of him 24/7. Yeah, was that an answer to your question?
Definitely. And what about you, Amelia? Do you relate to any of what Patricia just said? How did you navigate this pressure to perform, or how did your career change?
Do you know what? It's interesting because I feel like who I am now is so different to who I was after I had babies, like both times. And I think part of that was, I started my business in 2020, as you very kindly said in your beautiful intro. And so my son was 18 months when I started my business. My daughter was just turning 4. We're about to turn 4 the kind of following year. And I was kind of sitting at home in the middle of the pandemic, looking at the 4 walls of my house with, in a relationship I wasn't happy, in a job I felt very unfulfilled in. And so I wouldn't say having the children necessarily was like, at the time, the catalyst for the change for me. I think there was a lot of a delay in that. And once I kind of made the decision to start the business, I then, filed for divorce like 6 months later. So there was almost like this quick succession of things that happened that were huge life-changing moments.
Major.
That happened that led to this enormous growth in me, not just as a woman, but definitely as a mother. Well, I was all of a sudden a single mom with 2 children, a mortgage to pay, no real guarantee of whether this business was going to work or not. And so I had to get to work and make sure that we were taken care of and, all those kind of things. And admittedly, and the reason I'm being so honest about this is I'm sure there's going to be women listening to this thinking like it isn't all, like not everyone has the same experience, unfortunately. And the initial kind of few years of me starting the business was terrible. Like I missed all the school plays. I missed all the pickup times. Like they were in nursery from the minute it opened to the minute it closed because I just didn't have the help nor could ask for help. I didn't think to make it a reality, but I was so focused on making this business a success because sure, I wanted the kids to be proud of me and all that kind of stuff, but also I wanted to be proud of me. And I feel like it was almost like a re-grab of my identity. Like, this is actually who I used to be. So I'm going to grab her back and just hustle, get paid, get the car, get the hat, like all of that kind of stuff. Because it was almost like let's take back who we used to be. And I remember in 23, it would have been August 2023. We do this annual trip to Italy. I'm very fortunate that my parents live in Italy. And so like a free holiday to go and see Nonna and Guava scenery. Like once a year we go out and spend 2 weeks out there with my whole family. My brother comes, his wife comes, the kids, we all go, and it's beautiful. It's really nice. And I remember going out there and sitting by the pool and watching my daughter play with my dad. And I was just fresh off a call. I was just doing my emails. Like as I did, I never took a break in the first years of my business, not one. Even when I was on holiday, I was like, work. When the kids were asleep, I was doing everything. Didn't stop once. And I remember watching my dad play with my daughter while I'm doing emails, being like, having the same click moment that I had in the pandemic of, is this my life? I was like, is this really my life? Like I'm on the phone while we're on holiday, while my dad is playing with my children because I'm busy working. Really?
I think you're going to die when you hear this, but I was on my phone in labor.
Yeah.
Checking a product launch that was launched on the same day. So I was literally clicking refresh on sales that we did as I was giving birth because I was like so tied into my career. And it's
your whole identity was your career.
Whole identity was like this. We talked about building this life that I was creating and shaping and forming, and I felt like I had control over. And then I'm going into labor, and I'm like, no, I spent years building this, clinging onto this, and I'm launching something that I'm really proud of, and then I'm going into labor on the same day, and I couldn't let go of it. And so I was literally, I think my boyfriend, he took the phone out of my hand and he's like, Jazz, you just need to stop checking the sales and just enjoy the labor. And then I think even after that, it took me like 6-7 days just to kind of get out of that career mindset and be whole and be a part of and feel everything essentially. I'm wondering, did you notice a moment after that? It took me 7 days, but did you guys notice a moment where you really started to feel like, okay, this is who I am again?
Yeah, 2023.
2023?
Like literally just that in that moment.
Okay.
It wasn't like, and this is the interesting thing is like, you both said something there, which I thought was fascinating, which is you were saying, I want more, but I can't yet because I'm looking after my son. And you saying like, I know I want to do this, but I can't, because it's almost like whether you're spiritual or what, you have all these things that you can do, but you're being told, slow down, like just enjoy it for a sec, slow down. And you both had that moment immediately, pretty much after you had the children. I had mine like a few years later, but we've all had that same moment of, hey, like just enjoy it. This isn't going to, you get 18 summers if you're lucky with your child.
I love that you say that.
Lucky.
Actually, Patricia, I saw something on your Instagram recently, your slow routine.
My what?
It was like your slow routine. It was a reel that you made. I love that. I thought that was super nice. So you're definitely kind of embracing this, like slowing down. And
I'm really trying to, because I have so much energy that I want to go climb mountains if I could. But now I really try to embrace my slow mornings, and of course getting an active input to this morning as well, but in a completely other way than I used to.
Intentional way.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's great to slow down and just really kind of reanalyze like what's important to you, what routines you want in your life, who you value, and introduce something that's more meaningful maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, ladies, I see that we have 10 minutes left and I can't believe we could keep talking and we could keep talking, but I really would like to kind of know, hang on, where is it? I've lost my page, guys. Give me 2 seconds. Oh, here it is. Okay, so we've talked about, physical body changes. We've talked about emotional body changes. Before that, we talked about, your identity, who you were, how that's changed, what healing things you're doing to kind of feel like yourself again. But I want to know now what power looks like to you. Is it loud? Is it perfect? Is it about performance? Is it about career? Is it honoring who you've become? Is it about taking agency? There's a moment, I think, physical, emotional, hormone, where something shifts, like how you mentioned when you were in 2023. But you can really define what you want out of your life. So how has motherhood and the postnatal journey defined how power has changed for you or is defined for you as a mother?
For me, it's really about being present in everything I do. So if I work, I want to be present in my work. I want to be focused. I want to be effective or efficient. And if I got the time with my son, I want to be present, playing with him, talking to him, giving him food, enjoying, giving him breaths. So it's so annoying in my head when I'm doing stuff and I'm not present, because then it's just a waste of time and I get stressed and I am not a good version of myself. Yeah. And I also feel like that kinds of can put into being strong, because if I am not present, then I don't feel strong in everything I do.
Do you have any tips or, I don't know, for our audience on how you are present day to day?
Yeah, just end your day by not looking into your phone, because that's such a simple task, but so important for me. And it's every day I want to do it. Every day I want to just check my emails, check my Instagram, see if I've forgot something during the day. But that's the worst way to end the day and to feel present in entering my sleep. Yeah, I would say that's my best.
I love that.
Yeah.
I do that.
Advice.
I think I try to implement that now by just leaving my phone downstairs before I go to bed. So I just don't even bring it up to the bedroom anymore.
No.
Just so that I don't look at my phone last thing before bed. But it's not every day, guys.
No, exactly.
That's 3 out of 5 days or something like this.
Yeah.
What about you, Amelia? How has your definition of power changed since becoming a mother?
I really liked what you said about presence. I think we started off the podcast by talking about how I think women can have it all, just not all at once. And I think that's true for everyone. I think your life is very much like a battery, and you spend 100% at work, then you don't have a lot to give at home. You spend 100% at home, you don't have a lot to give at work. And you get your energy from different things at different times. And it's okay to be 100% present at work and not be thinking about your child when you're at work. It's okay to be 100% present at home and not be thinking about your emails when you're at home. And for me, I suppose this kind of regaining of power postpartum has been in the kind of intention, to use your word, and the decision to be like, I'm not answering my phone today because I am in Copenhagen and I'm doing this, or I am with my children this weekend and I don't want to hear from you. And so my phone is on DND, and I take great joy in that. And that decision is really important to me. But on the other side of that, it's being okay with also deciding that when I'm working, I love working so much and I don't need to feel guilty for it. And also knowing that sometimes there's going to be a bit of a push and a pull, but that's life. Like, you don't have to be perfect in every area of your life all the time. And when you realize that, makes you so confident and so powerful. It makes you feel like, yeah, things go wrong. You're not perfect all the time. You may read your phone 5 days out of the 7 or whatever it might be before you go to bed. But you're making those decisions for yourself instead of doing them because you feel like you have to or because there's pressure for you to do it. And that gives you a huge amount of self-esteem, which is what we're all trying to re-grapple after we've had a baby.
Definitely. Ladies, I'm going to give you a finish-off question. What does your dream self-care ritual look like now? Is it with supplements? Is it with topicals? Is it with medication? If you could wake up in the morning and tell me your perfect day to take care of who you are, your body, your mind, what is that?
Should I go ahead?
Oh, yeah. Shoot, Patricia.
Okay. I would start with an easy-paced run, not long at all. A short, easy-paced run, a dip into the ocean, because I live really nearby. So
It's very Copenhagen of you.
Yeah, so that's the best. Also during winter, go to the ocean, get back home, get my morning coffee, a big glass of water with my supplements, and then a shower where I'm not getting disturbed.
Love it. The dream. A morning without just being distracted. Probably similar. Wake up, like maybe not so much a run, but Pilates or move my body in some way. I love a cold plunge, whether it's in the sea or in an actual kind of bath situation. I think is beautiful for your body. And if I can't get one, I quite often have a cold shower and just let the tap just sit on my back and my neck, because your vagus nerves there. Vagus nerve?
Yeah.
And that's what gets all your circulation going through. So if you can get that bit cold, you get the same impact as, going in the sea or in an ice bath. Supplements, I mean, we've been through them all, right? I take collagen religiously. I take Zinc religiously, take biotin, take turmeric for inflammation, all that kind of stuff. And in terms of, I guess, the rest of my day, it would be about getting a little bit of sunlight, not too much, but I feel like factor 50 every day, like a psychopath, because I'm Australian and I'm like, I will not get one wrinkle on this face. I want to be fossilized. So I am covered in factor 50 all the time. Like even if I've got oil, it's factor 50 oil. So make sure I'm taking care of my skin, get some sunlight, and then just nourishing food. Like, again, I was saying earlier to you, I can't remember if it was on camera or off camera. I'm in this space right now of, I've got such a sweet tooth, Patricia. Like I literally could smash a bag of Haribo, no problem, 2 seconds flat. But I know that's really bad for me and I feel it. Like because I think I eat well now. My body goes, oh, every time I eat something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm now in this thing of I need to just try the best food I can get my hands on that feeds the cravings that I have. So whether it's like a fresh watermelon or a fresh pineapple or pineapple with tahini, if you've not had that, you have to try it. So it's like spicy, salty, lime thing. So yeah, just pump my body full of healthy food and then go for a nice walk at sunset.
The commonality I've noticed between you two, and maybe I have the same kind of perfect day dream self-care ritual, is that it's a lot more calm.
Yeah.
It's not this go-getting, get out there. Maybe as a mother, we want that kind of serenity in our lives, peace, where we can just wake up in the morning, we can wash our face in peace, we can go for a walk, get that sunlight, we can, use some face masks, some hair masks, some scalp masks, and have a bath or cold dip, as you guys put it. I can't do that. I'm still not there. But it's really important that we, like you said, slow down, take a look at what we have, and just be present in the moment. And I think that's really something that shows in the self-care rituals that we want for ourselves.
And isn't it ironic that it's the chaos of having a child that pushes you into that serenity?
Yeah.
Guys, I think we literally hit the nail on the head right now. We've run out of time, and we could have kept talking, I think, for hours about this topic. But it's been fantastic talking to you both, Patricia, Amelia, and thank you so much for coming here. Did you learn anything from each other, or is there any last things you want to say to the audience before we head off?
No, I just think this is such an important conversation, and I think it's really cool that you've brought 3 women together who obviously had very different experiences to represent the very different experiences that women have.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. All righty.